Today we're going to show you how to measure. So here we have Zach. He's wearing some compression gear just so you could see where to measure chest, waist, and hips. You'll need to start with a soft measuring tape. So for chest, Zach, can you lift your arms up a little bit? You want to go around the fullest part of your chest or bust. Right across here. Relax your arms. If you could turn to the side. So right across the fullest area. Now we're going to measure the waist. For the waist, we do it at the natural waistline. So Zach, if you bend from side to side, right where he creases is where his natural waistline is. And that is where you want to measure your waist. So we'll go around, and it is full circumference at the natural waist. Relaxed. Okay, and if you could turn to the side, and make sure that it's parallel with the ground. And that's how you measure the waist. Now we're going to show you how to measure the hips. For the hips, you want to measure at the widest spot on your hip. You want to make sure that the measuring tape goes parallel to the ground, right across the fullest area. If you could turn to the side, you'll see that it goes across the widest point. And that's how you measure the hips. Now we're going to measure the total length from high point shoulder. High point shoulder is right here, the highest point on your shoulder. So you want to place the measuring tape right about where your shirt will start and go straight down for the total length. So on this one, it's 30 1/4 for total length, and it ends right here at the bottom of the shirt. And that's how you measure total length. Now I'm going to measure sleeve lengths. There are a couple different ways you can measure the sleeve length. For a set-in sleeve, which has a regular armhole and shoulder, you want to measure from the shoulder seam down the arm to get the sleeve length. If you have a raglan sleeve, which has the seam lines going up into the neck, you'll want to measure from the top of the neck down the arm to get the raglan sleeve length. Another option for measuring your sleeve length is from center back neck. You could turn a little bit. So that would be from the center of your back neck down across your shoulder and down to the bottom of your arm. You start here, across your shoulders, and down to the bottom. And that's how you would measure center back sleeve length. Now we're going to measure the inseam of pants or shorts. You want to start where the rise of the pant and where the leg meet at that seam. So Zach, if you could hold the measuring tape right at that point, and we're going to go down the leg. For shorts, the inseam may end here around 7 or 9 inches. A longer pant may be somewhere here around your calf. And for a full length inseam, you do want to measure all the way to the ground for your full inseam length. And that's how you measure an inseam on shorts or pants. This is how we measure a garment. So first we will measure the chest. The chest on a garment is measured 1 inch below the armhole seam. So you go 1 inch down from the seam and straight across to the other side. This is how you measure your chest on a garment. Make sure the garment is laying flat, not wrinkled, and this is the full circumference for the chest. To measure the sweep of a garment, make sure it is laying flat and you measure straight across the bottom edge. The sweep is the circumference. Just make sure it's flat, measure straight across, and that is your sweep circumference. To measure the total body length of a garment, we measure from the high point shoulder to the front edge. The high point shoulder is here, the very top of the garment at the seam and straight down to the hem. So this is the total body length from high point shoulder to hem. To measure the sleeve length of a garment, you can do the center back sleeve length, which starts at the center back neck, goes across the shoulder, and down the arm to the hem. So you take your measuring tape at the center back, go across to the shoulder, and down the garment for the total length from center back neck. To measure sleeve length for a set-in sleeve, you can measure from the shoulder and armhole seam. Place the measuring tape at the seam, go straight down to the end of the garment. This would be sleeve length from shoulder seam. To measure a sleeve length of a raglan, where the seam lines go into the neck, you would start measuring the sleeve length from the neck, straight down the arm. This would be for a raglan sleeve length. To measure the waist on shorts or pants or any bottoms, we're going to do the waist relaxed. You measure across the top of the waist, flat, and double the measurement for the waist relaxed circumference. To measure hips on a garment bottom, we typically measure from the seam, the rise seam, up for the placement. Here we'll do 4 inches up. And you go from side to side, following the hip curve, and double the measurement for the hip circumference. So not straight like this, but following the hip curve of the body. And that is how you would measure the hip. To measure the inseam of a bottom, you measure from the rise and leg seam intersection point. Typically, there is a line for the rise. You would place it at the rise line, following the leg shape all the way to the bottom. And this is how you would get your inseam measurement.